Well, we're here with Twins general manager Thad Levine, and so many things have gone well for the Twins this year, particularly in the second half of the year. The word we've used a lot up here, you're probably sick of hearing it, resiliency, but yet that seems to be the common theme for this Twins team this year.
I think you look at the team, and there have been so many opportunities for us to bend and then ultimately break, and we never have. We've bent and we've snapped back, and last night was a perfect example of that. We've had them throughout the course of the year. We've just been blessed to see, whether it's individual performances of guys like Buxton, Polanco, Gibson, who struggled early, have come back strong, or in games like last night where we had every reason to lose that game and we came out on top. It was spectacular. Leaves you thinking tonight, when we had a guy on base, we may have been beaten for 8 innings tonight, but we had a chance to win 1 inning and we could have gotten back in the game.
Well, what's really amazing to a lot of people around baseball is this Twins team has scored so many runs without the guy who the Twins relied on so heavily in the first 4 months of the year, Miguel Sano. How do you account for that? The fact that Polanco stepped in, he was hardly playing in June into July, and now he's hitting third, and Buxton, Rosario, all these guys have stepped up at the same time.
I think it's remarkable when you see guys just rise to the occasion, but you are seeing, you mentioned Polanco, you mentioned Buxton, those are two guys who really come into their own the second half of the year. But let's not overlook Eduardo Escobar. Eduardo Escobar stepped in, and I'm not saying exactly at-bat for at-bat replaced Miguel Sano, but he's played great defense, and he's been a huge clutch hitter for us. I mean, what a blessing to have on the bench guys like Eduardo Escobar, guys like Robbie Grossman, two guys who stepped in, proven they could start for a playoff caliber team day in and day out. We've had the luxury of having them come off the bench for parts of the season.
Let's talk about a couple of the veterans. We saw Brian Dozier, but Joe Mauer with a resurgent season as well. And for guys who've really been forced to sit through some struggles here the last couple of years, like Brian and Joe, it has to be especially gratifying for them.
And what performances throughout the course of the year? I think a lot of people talk about our young, up-and-coming players. They're nothing without the two anchors of those two veterans. And I think similarly, Irvin Santana on the pitching side has really proven to have great veteran leadership. Joe Mauer's had a tremendous season. I think he should earn the Gold Glove over there. And all Brian Dozier has done is back up what was a spectacular season last year with another great one this year. These guys have been in the middle of every run-scoring rally we've had late in the season. And behind the scenes, they've been tremendous leaders in the clubhouse.
When you and Derek took over the Twins operation, I'm not sure whether you'd ever heard of Alan Busenitz or Trevor Hildenberger, but my goodness, they weren't on the radar screen for a lot of people, and they have not only pitched well, but in key spots here in the last 2 months of the season.
I think you see that in playoff teams. You see guys come out of the woodworks, and you know, we've talked about it before, but at the beginning of spring training, we were talking about a different group of relievers that we thought were going to come up, a bunch of guys who were exceptional power arms, and all that happened was, unfortunately, they had setbacks due to some injuries. Alan Busenitz has stepped up, a great acquisition by Rob Anthony last year when he was in the interim seat of being the general manager, as was the guy who started the game tonight, Adalberto Mejia. Two great trade acquisitions by Rob. Those types of guys have stepped up, and Trevor Hildenberger has been borderline an all-star of the second half of the season.
You came out of the Texas organization. Derek came out of the Indian organization. In each case, just getting to the playoffs wasn't enough. You guys in Texas ran through the playoffs, got to the World Series a couple of times, and the Indians did the same. Can you imagine this Twins team, if they get in? We're not counting anything or taking anything for granted, but can you see this Twins team making a run in October?
I would just say, why not? You know, I think any team that gets to the playoff is talented enough to hold their own. And I would just say, anecdotally, from talking to the guys in Cleveland, from talking to some other people who have a chance to play in the playoffs this year, nobody wants to face us. We're a dangerous team because we don't know better. Outside of Joe Mauer and Irvin Santana and Brian Dozier, these guys don't know that they should be intimidated being in the playoffs. And they also have nothing to lose. We will be a prohibitive underdog. That's a dangerous team as a foe in the playoffs.
No pressure, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it's been a fun ride so far. This might be an historic night, not just for the Twins organization, but in Major League Baseball, as the Twins hope to pick up that second wild card spot with a loss of the Angels in Chicago later on tonight. We'll have more coverage here, of course, from Progressive Field.